Hey everyone, welcome to a new episode of the Red Devils Corner Kick Podcast, a fan podcast dedicated to Manchester United Football Club. As always, like, subscribe, follow where there's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or YouTube, and you can follow on social media, Instagram, TikTok, or X. It is Sunday afternoon. We had a double header for Manchester United today. We had men's squad going off against Aston Villa, and then we had the League Cup final against Chelsea. I'll be doing both of them today. I'm going to start off with the women's match for the recap. Listen, they lost today. They lost 2-0. And if I did the watch along for that as well, mentioning some of the men's game as well as was going on, but the main thing was watching the women's game. Overall, it wasn't the best game. They looked like they were always 2 steps behind Chelsea. Listen, they had some opportunities. The end of the first half looked like they got a little bit better, and then the second half they started fine for 5 minutes, and then after that, it was Chelsea again. Listen, they challenged us wide, and they definitely beat us on some of those opportunities. Obviously, the first goal error by Janssen leads to another goal. The second goal, they just walk through again. On this time on the opposite side. So it wasn't the best game, to say the least. It wasn't. There were struggles there. They're being outmuscled. They took away our attack. As much as you want to look at shots on and shots on target, whatever. Yes and no. In the end, the attack wasn't really there. They defended well. They cleared it out. I'm going to be ruthless with my player ratings and so on and so forth. Part of the reason why this episode's out later is because I had to rewatch some of the men's match. Because I only did 15 minutes, and realistically, I was barely focusing on it because of watching the women's match. So, but going back to the game, like, from what I was watching here, there were struggles. They took away they took away they took away Mallard and Park. They did. They did not play the best. They were average, and they didn't do and they couldn't get anything through. It from what I'm looking at it, like when I was watching it, they didn't look like much was going there. You can say about Turlin, yeah, okay, but realistically, Turlin didn't do much either. Same with Nelson as well. Like, you can say about all the shots in the world, we still lost 2-0. We still struggled. We still missed opportunities. When we had the ball and we went and did the zone, we struggled. We did. It was a struggle. The back four of Chelsea were experienced, were able to handle us, and they moved the ball. We got outstretched. They moved the ball faster than us. Listen, Letitia made a great tackle on a stop, but at the end of the day, we still lost. We couldn't control the mid. We couldn't move the ball through. When we transitioned, we couldn't get a shot. And when we did get a shot, it was an easy save for them. There was one shot, maybe. Listen, we can do some things transitionally, but that was it. We had difficulty, I thought, moving through the middle. Miyazawa was definitely missing today. We were not playing well. When we got the ball and tried to make something, it went away very quickly. So we had our issues. And we weren't able to do much up top. So listen, when we tried, the one thing that United did well in previous games was stretching it out on the outside. We couldn't do that. At one point, Mallard and Park switched sides. That didn't really impact much. Mallard had one point where she crossed it in. Okay, that was it. But when you saw them when you saw us get the ball, you saw them straight 3 players on them right away. You saw them close down. You saw them just get it. And again, the forcing the long ball did them. The pressing by Chelsea did them in as well. Because when you saw the mistake, again, just a poor handling of the ball, and boom, you see James, who is a former Manchester United player, score. So you're seeing that. You saw that there. We had our problems today, and there were some good things, some bad things, but realistically, it wasn't overall great. It wasn't. I felt the substitution later on, bringing Wojo on, was too late. I felt like I had her originally starting, bringing her on. Wangerham was okay, but I would have preferred her out on the wing. Turlin, you had her, like, Turlin should have been up more at the striker. And you should have brought more Park into the middle, because you probably could have downshifted Naslin to the mid and then have Naslin in the mid and then trying to transition it up, or a Woj, or so on and so forth. But realistically, there was no consistency in the mid. There was no transition from the back to the front. They relied on long balls. And when we had those opportunities and had the lanes, we weren't moving it up. We're trying to force it in between two defenders, which got cut off a lot. So, and we can talk about the final minutes, but great, that doesn't mean anything. We were still down 2-0. So Park, Park played well, but it wasn't enough. They did enough to stop her and hold her off from what was going on. Mallard, they did enough as well. There wasn't real clear communication between some of the players, especially trying to get it down on the wing. So there were issues and substitutions. Yeah. Listen, Chelsea has had United's number. Let's not hide this from everyone. Like, they have been fantastic against us. I believe now the head-to-head match is, and I don't think anyone's going to like this, 14 wins, 2 draws, 1 win. Yeah. Our one win, yeah. Let's just see here. Any wins in the league? No. Nope. Yeah. We've won once. That was an FA Cup game in 2024. Yeah, 2024. What was that? That was the semifinal, and that we ended up winning. We ended up winning the FA Cup that year. So, but overall, they've had our number. Like, what? We've had 17 matches. We came out with 1. We're like in 2 draws, and one of those draws just came this season. So, we haven't been good, and you can say they're completely dominant against us, and it showed today that they were dominant. Chelsea were the better team overall, and during the watch along, I gave them credit. I said, congratulations. They were the better team. They were. Hands down, they were the better team. But there's not much they could have done. You can look at stats. Stats are the biggest, can be so misleading. It can be. Some of the shots that were there were not the best shots on target. There weren't. There were shots missed wide. There was opportunities that were missed there to try and get something going. But realistically, we weren't at our best game. They weren't the United squad that we've seen before that Chelsea loss in the FA Cup. And this is back-to-back losses now to the same club. I was hoping for a better turnaround, for us to be healthy. But again, it didn't go well. They did miss Miyazawa. I will say that. They missed Miyazawa today in the midfield. There was a disconnect from the transition to the front and the back. And again, they couldn't get anything going. And when Chelsea got the ball, they moved it well. And when they stretched it, and they did the long ball and they stretched it, they were outpacing us. They were more physical. They did their damage. They did. I was a little shocked Riviere got subbed off. It was good to see Frito back. She did okay when she came on. Schuler struggling. Like, But Chelsea also defended great. They did. They defended very well. They defended very, very well against them. And that's what happens when you get a clean sheet in a final. They defensively shut us down. They forced the turnovers. They forced the press. They couldn't do anything. There was challenges there from Chelsea, and we had trouble to adapt to it. And we saw this with Wolfsburg. We saw it with Lyon. We saw it with City. We saw it in some of the matches against Arsenal. We saw it against some of the teams that we faced in Europe. But there were teams there that were putting the press on. And when we get the press, we make our mistakes. When we try to force passes, they turn those into mistakes. Like they capitalize on that. We had opportunities to get options there, but we couldn't get anything going. Yeah, you can say 4 shots on target, great, but Turlin, Nelson, like there was times when we transitioned, but then they would shut it down quickly. Either a poor pass there. You can say whatever you want. Oh, certain players fought until the end. We fought for a 2-0 loss. The rest of no one ever. This was a whole team effort of not showing up. And listen, we had this challenging game, and then like the player. I'm taking this on the players because the players didn't show up. We had a game here that we know that we played Chelsea well. We played them decently well in that FA Cup. Had to go into extras. We played them well in that at the beginning before. We're ahead of them on the table. We have been okay with them. But today was a different story. The Chelsea that United had been dominated by was here today. I'll say that. I wasn't saying this was a complete total dominance, but from physicality to controlling of the game, it was Chelsea all over. You can talk possession, whatever you want, but that possession number went up in the last 10, 15 minutes of the game. And United, who usually do show up in the final third, did not. They weren't there in the third. They couldn't get anything going offensively. Don't get me wrong. They stopped them for some defensive things, but Chelsea had opportunities. They stretched them, and they had the speed on the outside. But there were struggles. Everyone did struggle today. To say that, some players stood out more than others, we still lost 2-0. This is a team game. The whole team. Individuals, yes, they will be rated, but overall as a team, they weren't the best. For me, I did not feel like they were the best. Okay. Player ratings. Tulis Joyce, I'll give a 6. Janssen, 5.5. Riviere, Letizier, I'll both give a 6. Lundqvist, I will give a 5.5. Turlin, 5.5. Zigiati, Nelson, each a 6. Park, Mallard, a 6. Again, they were just average. They couldn't get anything going. They couldn't break through Chelsea. They couldn't. They couldn't do much against them. When they would get opportunities, they would misplace the passes or shoot the ball wide. Some of them were on target, but yeah. But they were easy enough for the keeper to save. I think there was one earlier on that broke through, but that was it. So, Wangham, 5.5. Schuler, 5.5. Wojo shoot on for short. A 6. And Royo, I would say, Rolfo. I don't know why I'm going with Ro. Rolfo, I'm going to say a 6 as well. It wasn't the best match. It wasn't so, but they struggled. That's where it's putting it as. So again, Tulis Joyce 6, Janssen 5.5, Riviere 6, Letizier 6, Lundqvist 5.5, Turlin 5.5, Zigiati 6, Nelson 6, Park, Mallard 6, Wangerham 5.5, Schuler 5.5, Rolfo, Wojo and Rolfo 6. So yeah, some were average, some were below, but it wasn't easy, to say the least. So, but yeah. So again, this is a dual review of the episode of both matches. So I'm going to carry on to the men's match where they won 3-1 today. It's still tough seeing the women lose today in that final, but they didn't play well. That's what I'll say. So, but listen, we have our next match on Wednesday, because this is the big length game. So I believe the next game for Manchester United's women's squad is, let me just get everything loading here. Come on. West Ham. They're playing West Ham on the 18th. So let's get into the men's game. Okay. Listen, we won, the men's won 3-1 today. That's what I'm happy about. Was the match the best today? Tailored two halves, you can say. I covered the first 15 minutes in the watch along, or I would say the first 8-10 minutes of the watch along. And those 10 minutes wasn't the best. I did end up going to rewatch the game. Listen, the one thing that's incredible is Bruno breaking Beckham's record. He has now a total of 16 assists, breaking it, which was originally 15. Stood there for 25 plus years, I believe, which that's incredible to see, considering who we've had in this. We do have 8 more games after today. There is a chance that he could break it. Like I said in the watch along, the bonus would be him breaking the record. Okay, so again, him breaking the record is the bonus. If we succeed in getting Champions League, finishing third, if there was a miracle of getting to second, cool, but so on and so forth. And I'm going to say this, okay, and all that stuff, and don't chew my head off here. United, listen, you can say anything you want, but listen, I've always been Amram in, and listen, I've made my opinion on Carrick and so on and so forth of what he is right now. To say that Carrick would have had us in first place if he had taken over at the beginning of the year, I don't believe so. If they had let go of what is his name and bring him in off season. Please remember, Amram is the reason why Bruno is still here. Bruno was debating about whether he was going to Saudi. Cunha is here because of Amram. So that's the important thing. So would we be in first? So on and so forth. How do we know we're in first? Because again, Bruno, so I'm just gonna leave it there. We know what happens. I'm not gonna get into it, but please remember, I will make this comment. Bruno's having this season, which is great. Amram got him to stay that one season, this year. He convinced him to stay. And even Bruno has admitted that Amram convinced him to stay. So please remember that. Listen, overall in the game, I'm happy with the win. Overall in the performance, yeah, the win is there. We faced a team that played on Thursday. I thought it was pretty even in the first half. The second half, They just took control and took advantage. They drew it. They did draw it. Like when it was a nice header, nice a nice corner kick by Bruno. Header right there. And Casemiro having this is the final games. He's just scoring goals. He is, and it's great. I'm happy for it. How many goals does he have now this season? 7 goals this season. 7. Yeah. 7 Premier League goals this season, which is incredible. Yeah, he's I think he has more goals than some players, than some Arsenal starters. But when we're looking at the overall performance, did the team play great today? Meh. Did Aston Villa have chances? Yes. Martinez was great with some saves. I saw a couple great saves, but they had opportunities. But the one thing is, they did have opportunities, and they had a little bit of fatigue. And like I mentioned, they were off from the FA Cup, just like United were. They would have, like, I wouldn't say they used up all their legs on Thursday, but you can see a little bit of this on the match today. But United, they did some things well. And the one thing I mentioned too is Mainu played okay today. You saw him move up the ball a little bit. The midfield was still there. There are still struggles. Shaw, again, I don't know why he wasn't playing the best today. Neither did Delo. They played average today. Listen, everyone played about average. And I might have been generous with some that may look like they didn't play average. But we didn't dominate. We didn't show that we did play well, but we just capitalized on our opportunities more than Aston Villa did. It was a nice goal that they scored. They had movement. We showed again that there are some holes in our team. Listen, the Mbuemo at striker is not working. You can probably move him to there, but he has to be out on the wing. Ahmad is playing okay. But again, results do cover up what's really going on. And remember, we're beating teams that are having to play in Europe. And I would have thought Aston Villa would have been a little bit more. But listen, Bruno has been lights out. Bruno had a good game. He wasn't but they needed to take opportunities. Again, Bruno has been great with his set pieces, with his corner kicks, with his passes, some of his passes. The pass to Cunha was great. And it was good to see. It was. But we had our struggles. We did. There were struggles there. There were struggles moving the ball. There were struggles getting shots. Some players just were average today, and there's not, there can be some of that as well, but yeah, it was just it just felt like the other games, but things just went the United way. That's how I'm going to look at it. Some of the times the ball moved well. Sometimes it looked like the players couldn't even control it. Some players didn't want to move up forward. They just wanted to take the long pass. And some players just couldn't get it going. But I think for Mbuemo to succeed, he has to be out on the outside. Cunha, you could probably put him up there, and then you can put him either Ahmad or Mbuemo on the left side. If you're going to try and do that, the way Amarum did at the start, he had Cunha up as a striker, and then you had Mbuemo and Mount up there. But we're not playing the best. We aren't, and we're just taking advantage of what's there. And the one thing too is, and I mentioned it, the one thing that I was happy with, and I was nervous going to this game. I'm not hiding that. I did mention that on my preview. The one thing that concerned me was. One thing that was beneficial today, sorry, I shouldn't say concern. One thing that benefited today was this. United had players in this match that weren't there before. Mbuemo and Ahmad weren't there before. Which is key. Bruno played the full 90 minutes, which he didn't last time. The one thing too is he only did 2 rotations today, Carrick, and I'm shocked by that. Which I don't know if he's just not trusting his bench or he's got to go with what he has. We are back next Friday against not Newcastle. We just lost to Newcastle. We're back on Friday against Bournemouth. We know how that game went. But this this team has to be this team has to continue to perform. And listen, they showed up today. Like they played well enough to be better than Aston Villa. There we go. That's how I'm going to word it. Bruno did enough to help the team win, or did enough to put the team in a position to win. Sesko again with another goal. It's how many now? He's got 9 Premier League goals, which is great. I think overall now, I think he's got 10 in all competition. So he's playing well, and we still have 8 more games to go. It would be nice to see what he can do in those 8 games. Will he get starts? Who knows? Again, we only have 1 more game and they're off for 3 weeks. Which helps him out with if he's got any qualifications, or playing for his national team, which he usually does. But he's been, ever since mid-January, he's been brilliant. So 9 goals. So it's just a matter of So, sorry, lost my train of thought there. But yeah, overall, I'm happy with the win. Let's get to player ratings. Good old player ratings. It might be nice. It might look a little nice. Sonny Lemens, 6.5. Maguire, Lemens didn't have much today. That goal, it's still 6.5. Maguire, Euro played well in the middle. Shaw into low. I'm being generous with a 6. We got the win, but the win is giving them an opportunity. There were some nice opportunities. Delo had some chances offensively, why I would kind of give him a 6. But Shaw, he played well, but just nothing above a 6. Again, sometimes he wasn't even carrying the ball over half. Ahmad played okay. Again, a 6. Would like to still see an improvement. I don't know what's going on. I know the change, he's not playing, him as a wing back was great, especially with him and Mbumo. But now, Bruno, I'm giving an 8. He was great, breaking the record, did enough to get the team to win. Casemiro, 7 with the header. Overall, as a player today, he was okay, but the goal gives him the 7. Other than that, he's getting a 6. Mainu, a 6. He played well. He did. He was average. I wouldn't say he was dominating the game or the midfield, but he's just been playing okay. Mbuemo, he is playing out of position. It looks like he's just struggling. I'm still giving him a 6. He was okay. Cunha, a 7. I saw some good opportunities with Cunha today. Sesko, 7. And Ugarte, who at one point I didn't realize was subbed on. I'm just joking. No, he was on for a little bit. He came on for extra. I'm giving him a 6 just to for the time that he played and helped close out the win. So listen, it was okay. We played okay today. It was a win. We're 3 points. So I am happy with that. So, today was a unique day for United. Tough loss in the final. They played okay against Villa and got the win. We scored. We took advantage of opportunities because, again, Liverpool have dropped points. Chelsea lost. And we took 3 points from Villa. So that helps us out with Champions League. And City drew. So we kind of closer to, we're still 7 points back. So there's still a lot of stuff going on. And listen, Arsenal is probably going to win the league this year. Unless there's the biggest collapse in their final 7 games. You got to remember, they have a game in hand. We have the game in hand on Arsenal. So does, what's it called? Man City. So, but they're winning still. So they have to take that opportunity. And next weekend is the League Cup final, City versus Arsenal for that. Next week is a big week for Champions League as well. All English teams are either drawn or in the doghouse for not making it through to the next round. So we're at that point. So, but yeah, I will be back Tuesday with a new episode previewing Wednesday's match against West Ham. And then Thursday, I'll be back previewing the match against Bournemouth as well. And then let me just double check the women's fixtures. And then Saturday, 8 a.m. versus Everton, I will be doing the watch along against that. And then the watch along against City. And then, the men are gone until the 13th of April. The women, we have until their last match is April 1st. Yeah, their last match is April 1st, and then they're off for 2 weeks. So, but realistically, Monday, Thursday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, because I have post games. Saturday with an episode. Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. Yeah, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. Friday is going to be a difficult one. Friday is going to be a difficult one because I got to do the post game of United versus Bournemouth, and then Saturday, because United play Everton Saturday, and then doing the live watch along. Maybe my watch along opening will be a little bit longer. There might not be a preview for that because of the episodes this week will be a little tough. So, but yeah, busy week this week for the episode for the podcast. So tune in. So I'll talk to you guys on Tuesday. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe, follow YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and then Instagram, TikTok, or X for social media. This is the Red Devils Corner Kick Podcast. Glory, glory, Man United.